North Carolina is a great place to live until you hear about these 5 things that shocked many other individuals who have visited North Carolina. It may not be obvious, but you will find that many people here enjoy their beer, their bourbon, their Bible, barbecue, and of course their guns. Now, if you're new to me and this YouTube channel, we talk about everything you need to know about Raleigh, North Carolina, so make sure to hit the subscribe and the bell so you don't miss out. But also, I am a licensed realtor here, so if you need help with any of your relocation needs, just reach out. But let's go ahead and get into finding out what are the surprises of North Carolina. To kick things off, the first thing that we'll talk about that surprised many individuals is the HOA. Now, some of you may not understand or even know what that is. Like myself, when I first moved here, coming from up north, I had no idea what HOA is. I had to learn the hard way, and that was when I got here, that they essentially make and enforce rules within the community that you're living in. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, well, making and enforcing rules that I have to adhere to, well, why would I ever do that? And should I avoid it? Personally speaking, it's all going to depend on what you're looking for, so here are the pros of it. You don't have to worry about your neighbor upkeeping with their property because the HOA would typically be on top of them when it comes to that. There are sometimes events that is held for the community, and then you'll have amenities and things like that, like the pool, tennis courts, basketball that you may have as well. Now, the big con with it all, first off, they already are going to give you any sort of limitations on what you can and cannot do with your property. And then how can we forget there's an additional fee that does come with this. So ultimately, an HOA can or cannot be for you. It all depends on what your lifestyle is and what you're looking for. However, if you do have any questions on that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing, I got your back in this market. Another thing that surprises many people about North Carolina is there are rarely any basements here. Now again, you're talking to someone who comes from up north, so basements is my thing. When moving here, I was like, I don't have any basements, then where's the extra space? Most times it's in the attic now, so it's kind of like the reverse of it all. I know up north there isn't typically an attic, but here down south is attics everywhere and typically every single home. So that's something that shocks many people. It shocked me indeed. So prepare for that if indeed you are thinking about a basement. Now, if you do want a basement, you can probably get one. Just know you're probably gonna have a hard time finding a house that already exists with one. So you're probably gonna have to go that new construction route and really have it customized. And if you're looking to customize and make North Carolina your last move ever, you're gonna want to stay to the end because I'll drop a bonus for you. The third thing that shocks many individuals about North Carolina is the amount of shopping centers there are here, and I will say it is absurd in a good way. I know that a lot of people may have the perception of North Carolina, you're going to be in the country for the most part and you're going to be traveling 30 an hour to get to the grocery store. That is not the case, especially if you are closer to, a major city like Raleigh. However, if you're more on the countryside, you're more in the rural areas, then yes, you may have a longer drive, but I will say if you're, like I mentioned, if you're close to the city, you're not gonna have an issue. There are everywhere. I mean, for instance, let's just say you want to go shop and then you want to go eat and then you want to go play. You have that ability to do that just because these shopping centers, they not only have the stores in there, but they have a very amounts of different things that you can do as well. This fourth thing I'm going to discuss is extremely important for those individuals who want to purchase real estate in North Carolina, and that is hearing what is exactly due diligence. Now, I know sometimes a lot of individuals, they'll say due diligence and they'll think due diligence is very similar to earnest money. North Carolina does things entirely different. In fact, what is due diligence? It's a period, it's a time where you are essentially giving the seller some money to take it off, to take their home, the piece of land, whatever it is that is listed in terms of real estate off of the market, to do your inspections, to do your due diligence, to make sure this is something that you want to move forward with. Now, if you don't want to move forward with it, this is where things get pretty tricky here, because it's non-refundable. Yes, you heard me right, it's non-refundable. This is exactly why sellers love it and buyers absolutely hate it. But if you want to go into depth about it and understand more, that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email. Now, I hope you guys really understand due diligence, because we're going to be moving on and talk about the fifth thing that surprises many individuals when visiting North Carolina, and that is how green and open it is. There are a ton of trails and trees, and those trees are actually really tall. In fact, it's a give or take situation with that, because trees typically they'll give off the pollen, and that's where it's like, is it really advantageous or not? And lastly, the hikes that you have, the availability too. And you guys know I love my hikes, so even if it's in the Raleigh or around the Raleigh area, or even Asheville, Charlotte, wherever, there's hikes and trails for you everywhere. And this is a quick side note, but I don't have a green thumb, but if you do, this is a great place because it does have good climate for growing plants. Now I'm curious to know what on this list surprised you. Let's hear it in the comments below. And before we wrap this up, if you stay to this point, as I mentioned, I have a bonus for you, so let's go ahead and get into that right now. As North Carolina continues to grow, I think this is a huge sleeper and many people don't realize it, but when I start talking about it, everyone gets surprised, because I think personally this is a great place to retire. I mean, you have your golf, you have your mountains, you got the beach, the parks, the trails. You have everything here. I mean, can we forget you have nice weather as well? And you don't have to deal with the consistency of hurricanes or even snow. But many people will still argue it because of where the state is heading. It's growing in that growth state, so it's going to be a lot more younger individuals, or a lot of people in general. And sometimes people just don't want to be around people, especially when they're getting ready to retire. Personally speaking though, I think this is a great place to retire, and this is not even me trying to sell the place. It's just, it has everything that I just previously mentioned here. Now I can understand if you're not looking for any of that, then yeah, of course this is not the place for you. But if you are, you might want to really consider North Carolina, if and only if what I've mentioned before does not disturb you or does not kind of have a cringe on you. Now that you know what surprises others, if you're still interested in moving to North Carolina, I would love the opportunity to help you with any of your relocation needs. So if you have any questions or concerns, that number that is popping up right there, make sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, email, day or night, heck, maybe even on the weekends. Always remember one thing: I got your back in this market.